Geant4 evolves quickly. We might need to maintain different versions of Geant4 in our computer for different simulation projects. Here are some tips on how to maintain multiple versions of Geant4 in a computer. First, I never install Geant4 in a system folder such as C program files on Windows or user local on Mac or Linux. I use my users folder instead, where I have full control without the administrator's privilege. Second, I create one folder for each major Geant4 release, such as 10 or 11, and a subfolder for each minor release, such as 3.1 and 3.2, to store the compiled Geant4 libraries for that specific version. Third, I always keep the Geant4 datasets installed in a different folder from the Geant4 libraries, because many of them can be shared by different versions of Geant4 libraries. Organizing them based on Geant4 version will create unnecessary duplication. You can create such a structure through the CMake options, CMake install prefix, or Geant4 install data dir in the compilation process, or in the installation window when you install the pre-compiled Geant4 libraries on Windows. Geant4 relies on an environmental variable, Geant4 data dir, to know where to find its datasets. On Windows, one can modify this setting in the environment variables window. On Linux or Mac, the same environment variable can be set through the command line. If you don't know how to do this manually, simply put this line of code in .bashrc or .zshellrc in your home folder, geant4.sh file in the bin folder in your Geant4 installation folder, sets everything you need to compile and run a Geant4 application for you. CMake relies on the path environmental variable to find your Geant4 libraries. On Windows, simply double-click the variable to check if the right version of your Geant4 library is in the list. You can manually change this one to point to any Geant4 version on your computer. On Linux or Mac, the same environment variable can be set through the command line. Again, if you don't know how to do this manually, simply source geant4.sh file. On Linux, one more environment variable needs to be pointed to the right Geant4 version location. Again, you can source geant4.sh in a specific Geant4 installation folder to set it automatically. Remember, your Geant4 application needs to be rebuilt and compiled after the switch to a different Geant4 version. Otherwise, they will crash when you try to run them. To summarize, I recommend separated folder for Geant4 datasets, major and minor versions. One can switch to different Geant4 versions by setting these environment variables. Remember to rebuild and compile a Geant4 application after the switch.